So what we propose tonight and what we're looking for is that you all approve us to move forward with a line item transfer request to the Board of Ed at our next meeting for these three projects. The Polson alternate #1 main hallway, which Bill can expand on. Where we still need $117,000 to wrap that up. Furniture for this room, I think this is desks or chairs only, chairs only. And then some cafe tables and chairs at the high school, which Bill is here to fill us in on those. So I can stop there if you guys have any questions on those items.
I don't have any questions, Diane.
We really need new chairs for this room.
What's that?
We really need new chairs. for
Some
this
of them
room.
are broken where they'll just go backwards. I think they,
Yeah, we were sitting in coat one day, and you had like the top just like next to you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I sat in a couple of broken ones, but
Yeah,
I believe the original chairs when we moved in here in '89 or 96 or 97. Built these tables and got these chairs,
from 97.
97,
Guess we got the-
97,
probably before that.
Yeah, but our money's worth.
97, came in 98,
Yes.
95. It was in the late 90s when we moved into this building, when we built this out. Up the tables, built the tables, and I remember the argument about how expensive the tables were and the chairs at the time, you know? They have lasted a long time. It is a lot of money, but one of the key things is for the volunteer boards and commissions who sit in here.
Yeah, right.
And you do
And
spend a lot of time.
PRC and.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time sitting
This
there.
room is always.
Yeah.
it's the command center for
Yeah.
storms.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Or which is not home.
Right.
That's good.
Then I see that I see compared to last month, the estimate for the buildings was like 94,000. And it's coming in a little less at 64,000.
So I'm not, at the last time we talked. Yeah, so there were end of this school year expenses. Oh, we were at 65 last time,
Were
so
we?
honestly, Galen, I think maybe the time before, then
Oh,
we
that's
had a
right,
line
that's right, that's
transfer
right.
in
Thank you.
between.
Yeah, okay.
But then last time we met on, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, oh, that's right. I looked at 24.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Bill, can you expand on the Polson alternate #1 main hallway?
Absolutely. So there's a plan for us to, redo all the hallways in the school, and I thought it would start on the main hallway when you first walk into school. We're redoing the entryway, the security entrance, and the hallway is very wide and big, so it's a big amount of space, but it had limited asbestos tile underneath it. So we're gonna new flooring, paint the walls, new lighting, ceiling. So it's really gonna, hopefully jump out at you. We're also putting some stuff along the wall, some sayings and some pictures. And the last thing we just picked out is, there's gonna be like a stenciled tiger at the other end. So, it's the visual effect of, the going into the school is gonna hopefully upgrade the appearance. So definitely was not part of the original security scope, and we expanded the scope. We've actually, anticipated we had testing of underneath because there is some asbestos. So what we tested wasn't all of the same amount that we thought in the one area, but we found it in 2 other areas.
Is that from the mastic?
No, it's actually from the tile,
Oh,
the original tile. And definitely some of the mastic. So there's 2 different, you're right, there's 2 different, it's the tile and the mastic. So this square footage is not as much as we thought, but it's in 3 spaces instead of 1. So they have to build a containment, so it's just, we're getting into the details because right now, they're pulling the carpet up. And it's a big amount, so, I think when we try to do a project, we try to do as much as we possibly can, and then once everyone gets involved, this quantity always creeps.
and this isn't gonna impact like the use of Polson over the summer? We're doing it now.
So-
It has.
There's no use of pulse in the summer. There's no kids in the building. It's safe. We're monitoring it. It's appropriate for staff to be in there if they're allowed by the administration. We try to keep everyone out of the building. And definitely no kids. So we had to move the weight room over to the high school. No kids in the building. Every contractor that comes in, are there any kids here? No. Because that's a really big deal for the regulatory issues when you're removing asbestos. And other environmental stuff, lead, there's some other stuff in the windows and doors that we're definitely doing some demo to the walls and windows. And that's where, unfortunately, there's some sensitive stuff. We're doing that both at Brown and Polson. Brown didn't have that main entrance like we do at Polson. We have a long, massive hallway, very wide. It's gonna be really good for, I think, breakout spaces and kids to learn outside the classroom space. You got it.
Do we want, I don't know if you want to make a motion to approve on the or those line items?
Yeah, we could do that, and then that would come before the whole board
Next time.
next time.
Yep.
Not next time,
Oh, not tonight.
not tonight. Do we have a motion to approve, we have a motion to recommend to the full board to approve these line item transfers?
So, second.
All in favor? Aye. Passes 3-0, thank you.
So the next, we're looking at a balance after that of about $15,000. However, given that we still have 9 days left of the year, we're gonna really keep track of these items. And perhaps we may be able to find some additional funds for the following group of expenditures. So we were looking for your input as far as prioritizing with Craig to see what we wanted to do first. Given the third motion that Galen and I can try to close out the year together, as long as we're all on board, if we do find funds available, then we can approve the line item transfers for these items.
All right, well, so for the record, the items are Chromebooks and teacher laptops, amount to be determined, technology improvement for Hammonasset Road, sound, security perimeter access, musical instruments, and I see you have Devin of 71,000 for that, Stacy.
Yeah, that's an estimate right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Okay, and then the Folsom sign on Green Hill Road amount to be determined. And also, for the record, let's read the assumptions are transportation and fuel facilities will have no available funds, human resources to be reviewed after the final payroll, and athletics also to be reviewed. So with that said, let's talk about prioritizing these potential requests that we need to find savings.
So the Chromebooks though, I mean, we already have that in the budget to cover it, right? It's just like an excess of,
Advance, funding it in advance while we have the funds, so it would possibly move up the replacement cycle.
And so what kind of discount we have by purchasing them now and later? And just rough, the idea would be to save money while we have the funds.
That I really can't answer. All I could say is if we do have the funds, it would, just put us that far ahead and able to purchase them ahead of time, knowing the time delay
That's right.
with purchasing things, and then we would have.
Okay, all right. So that's a logistical concern, really.
and is there still a significant delay in the Chromebooks from ordering it still?
Yes, yeah, so we've got some in already, or ordered some from this year's funding, but it's still taking about 2 months or so. to get going.
And so did we have like a significant number of Chromebooks that are being phased out?
It's just the replacement schedule that I don't think in our current funding we have enough to do the replacement schedule that you'd like to at grade, basically the new schools 4 and 6 and 9.
Craig, do you have any thoughts on on which items you, so to be clear, we'll list it, should we list the ones that we are more likely or more apt to borrow from or less likely?
You know, we'd like to have some leeway on that, that it wouldn't all necessarily go into, let's say, 100,000, the 100,000 wouldn't necessarily all go into the Chromebooks. It's gonna depend on the work we can do, but Stacy has put this in the administration's recommended order for us, and that's not to say that, you know, they're not all important. But for instance, the security perimeter access, that's the fobbing system, the key fob system. And so we're working on a solution for Brown, because the door by the loading dock, actually it's the physical door that's keeping us from fobbing that. So we'll eventually have to do some work on that door, but they've then asked us to switch to the back door, at least have that fobbed by the playground. I think once we've done this, Phil can attest to this. I think the principals have identified other areas because of the safety issues that they'd like fobbed, and that's not always easy, because if there's not power to it, or
Right.
that bring power to it.
So that's not just that one school, that's it.
But it's across the district, and we do have, you know, more security funds on July 1, so I would anticipate that getting done, but we could use that for other security initiatives, certainly. We do need to, you know, make some improvements here as well, you know, for sound for this room. We're trying something out for Stephen tonight. He worked with IT, you know, so we're hoping to find a solution to that, but there would be some better sounding equipment we can purchase.
No offense, Stephen, but should we flip flop the security and the sound? Switch places?
I don't know if that's a big ticket item necessarily, the technology for this room.
I kind of feel like that should be last. This list of items.
There's a Polson World.
So I have a question about the musical instruments. Were any of these instruments damaged in the water breakthrough in that hand?
No, these are Polson instruments, yep.
And it's just like regular
Regular
wear
kind
and
of,
tear, nothing
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I guess I'm broadly in agreement with this prioritization, except maybe moving security up and putting the Hamness sound. Or it's not a big ticket.
I kind of like security perimeter access first, followed by the Chromebooks and musical instruments and the technology for this one to last. Because I feel like, you know, it works. It's not perfect, but I feel like everything else is more important. I would rather see them
Yeah.
have musical instruments ready to go for the new year than. Wait on that. And musical instruments are kind of hard to come by.
And you said, Stacy, these are all things that would be in the budget for to July 1st. It's just getting a head start on some of these things.
The last two are not in
No.
the budget.
Okay.
Polson sign, we're still having some discussion on branding and how we want that to look, and trying to find a solution for hand and
Okay.
signage. So I'm not even sure we'll be ready to.
Yeah.
I'm working on the plan,
Okay, yeah,
and so I haven't really totally have that figured out yet.
right,
Yeah.
thank you, Bill, but yeah, it's certainly busy.
Yeah.
Not exactly high on the priority list.
Definitely not.
No,
It's best
I think that is a good place to have it last for all those reasons.
Do we want like the signs eventually to look like unified, like the new school and then Polson instead of all?
Rita had just done for the letterhead, because we didn't have a common letterhead, and so I shared that with administrators actually just today. And they were looking at it, and so Ryerson and Hand don't use color in there, so they were like, okay, can we look at that? We wanna kind of revisit that, so if we could have some changes, I would hate to purchase a sign.
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
We've got a, whole signage for the Brown campus, for 2025. We'll get a new sign out front, doing something closer to the building. So we've got some some work ahead of us.
And I think it's not just the front entry signs, but directional through the facility. No one knows where the tennis courts are, no one knows where the baseball field is.
Yeah.
You know, we've been here so long, we just tell everybody, but I guess it would be nice if we had a little better signage for everything, so. We're looking at directional signs, we're looking at, you know,
How about well-lit signs?
well, we didn't talk about lighting anything yet, but it's not, we're not against it. Most of our activities are during the day for those events, you know, are not, you know, lit except for activities under the track, and that's, can't miss that.
Well, I mean, I know that Ryerson's not a problem for the future, but I know in the past, that sign at Ryerson is set back, there's like, you know, trees and stuff that kind of block it, and there's no,
Oh, well,
Lights.
79.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so, you know, if you're going there for, you know, an evening book fair event or whatever, you could drive
In
right
December,
by.
you know.
Yeah, it's not well lit, it's not well marked,
Even in
So-
the daytime,
right,
I mean,
and, you know, when those bushes got overgrown, they're kind of covering signs, so I just like going forward, looking at the new signs, I would like to see them well lit and not over.
We could light them for sure, I could do whatever you guys want.
Okay.
it still costs money.
Yeah, and bringing power out there is not gonna be a small thing,
Yeah.
because they're so far away from all the
Solar.
facilities.
Solar.
And I was thinking the exact same thing,
There you
you
go.
know, we just did solar for the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Which is working,
Yeah, just about.
and the panels are pretty small, I was very surprised of it. You know, so I definitely great option, I will definitely look into power, solar, and if we have to run power out there in service, it's important, we'll get it done. We'll start at the Green Hill campus, I thought we'd start tone with that, I'll bring the plan in, everyone can, you know, weigh in on it. You know, I expect it to be there for a very long time and, you know, we'll figure it out. Get the town involved too, because, you know, street signs, you know, making sure everyone's okay with what we're doing.
Well, okay, so with that said, we'll just return to the priorities, we'll just keep Chromebooks up top in case the balance goes negative, that's where we would. Okay. And then,
And security.
then maybe security would be, you know, sort of fun. And then we'll just M&S sound and then instruments and.
Well, I like the musical instruments before the M&S.
Can you talk more about the issues with the M&S? It sound like what this would pay for, maybe that'll help us understand.
So I think what we're looking for is eventually not having like the rolling TV, you know, and the sound bar, so having more of a permanent sound system. You know, or a TV on the wall.
Mhm.
Then, you know, I foresee at some point we'll need, you know, ample seating.
Yeah.
For some of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that would be important. I think we also have to, you know, as we've shared too, think about ways for it to be run by people in the meeting. So it would be, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's Wendy running it or Gail or I or something like that. So that would be eventually our goal too.
I still would rather fuck musical instruments.
Well, there's a chance.
But it's for the kids.
Right, but there's a chance we don't have to dip into these.
Right.
So.
I agree with Diane.
Yeah.
I feel like that makes sense, and this is
It
definitely.
works, it's not perfect, but it
Right.
works, so I would
Yeah.
rather
Spend the
replace
money
the
for this.
instruments and boost our musical program.
Okay, all right, so
Yeah.
let's
I feel
do
better about that too.
Chromebooks 1, security 2, instruments 3, technology 4, sign 5, is that?
That sounds cool.
Okay,
I like that.
okay, thank you.
That was easy.
And Stacy or Greg, is there anything else that we need to cover on line item transfers or any of your?
No, appreciate the support. Stacy keeps us updated very, this is like to the minute, as you can see, this is amazing, 6:21.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Thank you, Stacy.
All the confidence. in the
Thank you,
world.
Bill, for
Wow.
Thank you.
it's
Very tight.
major
I'm available if you have any
project.
questions. Happy to come back, but I want to lengthen your meeting.
I
Then
think
we'll-
we'll be good. I'll let you know.
And then as Stacy noted, we have a motion in tonight's board meeting to authorize Stacy and I to close out this 21-22 school year. We don't need to take action on this here because it's already in the agenda for the right forward. That, are there any questions or public comments out there?
I would just like to say, because I know Bill will be not with us tonight, and Stacy's not staying for the meeting, but these two worked tremendously hard on the grant application and submitted to the state for the building project. It's been something that, Bill and I have talked about since probably the first time I met him. I probably shook his hand and said, we gotta get going on this grant
Let's
application.
get to work.
And it's just been every Friday during kind of COVID time we met, and Stacy joined us for the majority of those meetings. Wendy was the actual one that put the information in and clicked send very nervously.
Oh.
She's like, are you sure?
And
I was
so,
sweating bullets.
yeah, so
Yes.
thank you for the three of them.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, we have the most talented, dedicated,
That's for sure.
knowledgeable staff in the world. And we never overdrive our headlights because of Bill and Stacy.
That's a big milestone. That's exciting. Thank you. It's all happening.
Thank you. Happy to be working here.
No.
We're not gonna ever let you retire.
I'm already retired, I'm just having fun.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
See ya.
So Wendy, is there anybody out there?
Nobody.
Okay, well, it's a good note to end on. So with that, let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting and we'll see you in half an hour. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.